Everybody. I had the opportunity earlier this week to be in a part of town which I was never in before, right next to downtown. And I was at the corner of Webster and Exeton. I think it's the name of the street. Which corner was it? Just look at exactly which corner it was. Webster Avenue and Erin Street. And I saw this big, huge building, not huge, big, nice sized building, but it had a big dome and, it looks like an old shul. So I was a block away, but you can see the dome from 2 blocks away. Yeah. And you know what shul that was? That's old Kesser Torah.
Oh, wow.
Much bigger than the one on Bartlett Street. Nice big building.
It's outside with women.
Yeah, there's a separate entrance to the women on the outside. There's 2 huge Magen Davids, each one probably 5 feet tall, still in the building. Rubbed out, barely you could see. There's a stone tablet that says, if anybody hears a Gemara, art scroll, there's a tablet. Oh, use that, okay. Anyway, which says that this is some church of some sort. And that's already rubbed out. That means they've probably not been using it for a long time already. The building looks old and falling apart. And I'm thinking to myself, just in Pittsburgh itself, in our city, how many old shuls there are. Yeah. You go all around the country, all types of cities, big and small, towns big and small. I was in Tyrone, I think. I saw an old shul. Many places you have this. Many of these small cities and towns had shuls, which are no longer being used as shuls. Now, you have Jewish migration, Jewish persecution, or whether Jews become more affluent and move to the nicer neighborhoods, or whether, unfortunately, could have assimilation, and then less people are using the shuls, or whatever the reason is. Maybe they become too expensive where they live and they move to a different area.
In Beaver County, it was a combination of, you can say, assimilation. And the steel goes closed.
The inside, you can still find swarm back away somewhere.
Where? In the Kesser Torah building?
Yeah.
Really? Over there?
Yeah. There's an old shul, there's a church, I went in there. We covered a lot of sin.
Oh, I did not realize. I thought we were sharing the Gemara on the screen.
Actually,
let's bring the Gemara on the screen.
It would be a combination of assimilation. The steel was closing. Jews leave the suburbs. What are you going to do?
But for me, that was an eye-opener. You imagine like a shul. It's still functional today, Baruch Hashem, right? The Kesser Torah shul, but it's not nearly, you could say, the size. The building's not the size. They don't even have a building now. Right? There's a shul without a building. So what happens with an old shul? There's been a saying that the America country, USA, is very good at building cities, but we have not yet figured out what to do how to city to die out, how to let it die out. What do you do with it? Do you knock it down? Do you take away the infrastructure? That we have not yet figured out. And based on where the economy is at any given time, where it's centered, you have cities in central Pennsylvania, which are ghost towns now, and you walk in and it's full of empty houses, empty buildings, etc. Last MIshna, we spoke about selling a shul. Rabbi Yehuda says that you're not allowed to sell a shul for a chatzar, just for a courtyard. You're not allowed to lower the standard of the shul. The shul has a certain level of kedusha. You cannot lower it down. So Lechem Reb Label, thank you for coming. Thank you for enhancing. And he also says you're not allowed to take the money from the shul if you have extras and use it for anything else, but something which is on enhancing the kedusha and making the holiness at least on the same level of sanctity as the shul. So the MIshna starts off with the words v'oit, and furthermore. Rabbi Yehuda furthermore says, now the MIshna doesn't usually start off with the word and furthermore. You don't have a conversation with someone, leave, and then come back the next day, and also this, you have to continue from where you left off. But originally, or if you learn Mishnah, this is part of one MIshna. But in the Gemara, we split it up because we wanted to go into every topic individually. The Oidam Rabbi Yehuda. Next statement of Rabbi Yehuda. The first one was a shul which people wanted to sell. Next one is a shul which falls into disrepair. And what's interesting, in the previous Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda was more lenient than the rabbis who allowed the sale of a shul. In this Mishnah, it's going to be different. Rabbi Yehuda is going to be more strict. Rabbi Yehuda says, Beis HaKnesses shecharab. We have a synagogue that fell into ruins. Ein maspidin b'toichai. You're not allowed to use it for mundane purposes. It still is considered to be a shul and has a holiness of a shul. The ein mafshilin b'toichai chavalim. And therefore, you cannot make it into a funeral home. You cannot make it into a place where you eulogize those who passed away, because it's a place of tefillah, a place of living, a place of life. The ein mafshilim b'toichei chavalim, and we're going to soon see in the Gemara that the only person who we do eulogize inside of a shul is a Torah scholar. But this is part of the reason why many places you have a funeral home with its own chapel, because inside of a shul you're not really supposed to do any eulogies for anybody, unless they're an important personage. You're not allowed to use it to, you think a shul is a nice big room. Most people lived in a little tiny hovel, a little tiny hut. And a shul is a nice big room. If you're making ropes, stretching ropes, they didn't have the machinery that does it today, and they had to have a lot of space to do it. So maybe I have this big empty room, it's not being used. Let me open up a rope factory in here. And this is particularly something which needed a lot of space.
Was this in Israel? Talking about this, because in Golos, this would almost be impossible to do.
So we are going to make a differentiation, and the Gemara is going to make a differentiation between Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz in regards to halachas. So as of now, it applies to everywhere. There's a certain sanctity of the shuls in Eretz Yisrael more than the shuls in Chutz La'aretz, because all the Jews, and when Mashiach comes, are going to return to Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, the shuls will now, even the shuls which are no longer in use in Israel, will come back to be in use again. There's going to be a tremendous need for shuls in Eretz Yisrael. True, Mesechta Sanhedrin, it says that Mashiach comes, all the shuls from the world will come back to Eretz Yisrael, and we'll discuss that when we reach that part of the Gemara. So you cannot use it for mundane tasks. The ein parshin l'toichem mitzudas. You can't put in traps to trap the birds, or nets to trap animals. For ein sheitan gaga peiros, you cannot use its roof to dry out fruits. All these things are just examples of different melachas, different types of work, which you can't do. Each one of these is using another part of the building, which an old shul would be ideal for, whether it's to spread out ropes, to spread out traps. You think I'm protecting the shul, and I'll use any animals which I catch in order to use it for food. You have a harvest, you need a big roof, and a shul has a big roof. So all these examples, because all these things need a large space. But the truth is that Rabbi Yehuda would prohibit any type of melacha, any type of work, mundane work in the shul. The ein oisen kapandria. You're not allowed to use the shul as a shortcut. Meaning, if I need to get through from here to there, and the only way is to walk through the shul, you're not allowed to do it. Even if it's no longer an active shul. Shenemar, as it states, Vashimoisi es mikdashechem. Hashem says, if you do not listen to my commandments, then I will destroy your temples. But it says, I will destroy your Beis HaMikdash. It's already destroyed. It doesn't say, your Mikdash I will destroy. I will destroy your Mikdash. The order and everything in the Torah is very, very exact. Meaning, even if it's destroyed, it's still holy. It's still a Mikdash. Dushasan af kishahin shemimin. The word kedusha And the holiness is still there even after it's been destroyed. And we learn this from the Beis HaMikdash from Har Bayis, a holy temple, a temple mount that even today you're not allowed to enter unless you're tar, unless you're pure. And being, as we don't know with 100% certainty, where the place of the Beis HaMikdash was, therefore we avoid going on to the entire Temple Mount. Those who do go on to the Temple Mount do it with the assumption that the Beis HaMikdash was in a certain spot. And it's not according to many opinions. Many opinions it's in that spot, many opinions it's not in that spot. So we avoid going on to the entire Har Bayis, but we learn that the holiness of a place is still there even after it is gone. And although it's speaking about the Beis HaMikdash, but it uses a plural term, Chaim Sofer says. Mikdashei chem. Doesn't say Mikdashcha, your temple. It says your temples. How many temples do we have besides Yerushalayim? So it's coming to tell us that there's many temples, not just a temple in Yerushalayim, but call it a temple, but a shul, which is anywhere in the world. It also has kedusha, it has holiness. Here's another interesting halacha with many practical ramifications. Alu bayasavim, if in the shul that was now no longer in use as a shul, in a ruined shul, if it started growing grass, now, or we're talking about inside the shul, or talking about outside the shul, we'll get into that. La yitlish, you should not uproot it. Mipnei akmas nefesh. Because people will walk by, see the old shul in ruins, and it will cause them to have anguish, and it will remind them to refix the shul. But if they go by and the place is just quiet, and the place looks kept up and clean and neat, so then they'll never go fix the shul. So therefore, it's a thing to always, so to let the shul look abandoned, people should see it and should want to fix it. Rebbe Tzvi Partisan, he was last name was Ulamovsky. During World War II, he was a partisan with the Belsky partisans, fighting the Germans. And he always had the warlike mentality into him. And after World War II, after the war, he was in the DP camps. He went to Chabad Yeshiva and became a very, very fiery chassid. And he was a tremendously successful and tremendously energetic person, Zusha partisan. And one of the things that the Rebbe tasked him to do in Israel was to open the Reshet. Reshet means the network of Chabad schools in Israel. And he opened up dozens and dozens of schools in Israel, mainly for non-Chabad kids, for non-religious children.
And he himself actually was a Lubavitcher.
Yeah, he was a Lubavitcher. He was a very fiery chassid. He had a brother who also survived the war. And whenever he would come to visit New York, his brother lived in Oceanside. It's in Long Island. He wouldn't visit his brother because he said, I'm coming to visit the Rebbe. So his brother wrote to the Rebbe complaining, my brother is coming from Eretz Yisrael. I have only one brother who survived, and he doesn't even see me. So the Rebbe told him, this is not right. You have to go visit your brother. So from then on, he went because I'm fulfilling a mission of the Rebbe. That was he was on a militant way his entire life. When he came to opening up his very first shul in the very first school in Israel, first thing he did is he walked, he saw an old abandoned school building that was once an Arab school. It was not in the greatest of conditions. He walked in, he said, who does this belong to? Oh, it belongs to the Department of Education. So he went to the Department of Education, we want to open up a school, we need a building. Told him, we have this building, can we have it? They said, no, we're sorry, we're going to decide what to do with it. He walked out of the office of the Minister of Education. He walked over to the secretary and told her, the Minister of Education said that you should write out a permit for us so we could use the school building. And she didn't know any better. She didn't think that he was lying or saying anything wrong. And she typed out that permit. He got ahead. He opened up the first school and Israeli bureaucracy. And it came a few months later. Walking to the building. What's happening? Is there a school going on? I have a permit.
This is Russia, right?
No, in Israel.
In Israel?
Yeah. 1953 or 52. This is in the early years of Israel. And so this is, and It took another year or two to legalize the school. Baruch Hashem, he opened up dozens and dozens of schools all around Eretz Yisrael. And there was one particular city where there was a school, and it was a town where many immigrants from Morocco came. And after a couple of years, they all moved, and the school closed down. And Rebbe Tzvi Partizan, when it was always on a mission from the Rebbe, always day, night. He almost never slept. You would show up, you would know that he's here to take a report and send it back to the Rebbe. And he would, when coming back, he had a certain person who would drive him around. And he says one time they were driving back to Kfar Chabad late at night, and it was about 11, 12 o'clock at night. He says, stop by that town on the way. And they stopped by the town, and they came to the school, which was already closed for about a year. And they walked into the old school building. And in the school building, there was grass growing from the cement. And this is his only time in his life he saw Rebbe Tzvi Partizan break down and start crying. He had a school, we had so many children learning, and now it's empty. So when you have a grass growing in a place, it shows a sign of abandonment. Right? One of the things of the in the big election campaigns, one of the slogans is that they abandon their military. And if you go into Cape Canaveral, you see grass growing out of the runway. That means they're not using it. Halachically, it's a very big question. There's some poskim which say that in the Kotel, Eretz Yisrael, and in the Kotel, I'll just pull up the Kotel. And there's a Partizan. Sorry. This is Partizan. Right. So, for example, tab and you see grass growing out of the koisel, right?
Hershel.
Hyssop. So resume share. So here's not the greatest. But anyways, that's everyone has probably been there and say, I got the idea. You have grass growing out of the koisel, right? So are you allowed to trim that grass? And some poskim say you're not allowed to trim that grass, because if you see grass growing out of the wall of the Beis HaMikdash, that's going to cause people to have anguish. And it says a shul which is destroyed, or Mikdash, a temple which is destroyed, you have to let the grass grow. And so there are poskim which say that you have to let the grass grow out of the walls.
It's how does the rabbi the wall patch do?
I know in practice they do cut it, so they probably have other poskim that they rely on. But there are opinions like that in halacha that you have to let you're not allowed to cut the grass. This is a Rebbe Tzvi Partizan. So that's his typical, always lively, happy, encouraging. So let's make a deep dive into the Gemara.
Okay.
There's an interesting halacha about the Beis HaMikdash. The roof of the Beis HaMikdash of the Holy Temple is not holy. Meaning does not have the sanctity of the Beis HaMikdash. So someone who's tamek would be allowed to go on the roof of one of the parts of the Beis HaMikdash. So why is the roof of a shul holy if the roof of the Beis HaMikdash is not holy? So even though it's not holy, you still have to respect it. And if you're using it for mundane matters, then you're not respecting where it is. Says the Gemara, last line on the page of Chav Ches Amid Aleph 28a. Pan Rabbanan, our rabbis have taught us. Batik Nisius, how should you act in a shul? In a shul, ein noying behem kalas rosh. You are not allowed to conduct yourself in a lightheaded, frivolous manner in a shul, because a shul, as we'll see soon, is a mini Beis HaMikdash. And therefore, you always have to have respect in a shul. What are things you should not be doing in a shul? Ein Neugin behen, ein Oichlin behen, you cannot eat in the shul. Ein Shoysin behen, and you cannot drink in a shul. Unlike a Beis HaMedrash, a house of study where people are there the entire day, and therefore a Torah scholar is allowed to eat a snack, a temporary meal inside of the Beis HaMedrash, the house of study, because this is where he is the entire day, essentially. But in a shul, you're not allowed to eat or drink inside of the shul.
How does the yeshiva get around it?
Right. So we discussed that yesterday. In yesterday's Shiur, it's a Divrei Chaim. If a shul was built to begin with, right, not as a shul but as a center, and it could be used for a wedding hall, it could be used for davening. So it's sort of that the shul, while they're using it, they're a tenant of the place. It's made with that condition in mind, and we explained that's why it's called a shtibul. From the times of the Baal Shem Tov, he sort of broke the divide in many ways between a shul and a Beis Medrash. Your house becomes a shul. You eat, you drink in a shul as well. You're not allowed to become wild or unrespectful. But if it's called a shtibul, means a small house. A small house is like this is meant to be a house where you live, where you eat and drink, and during that time of davening, it's the din of davening as well. But if you build something with a condition in mind, that condition could help for it. So in this particular condition. And that still has to only be used for certain things. But you see that the shul is used as a gym, right? And there's basketball hoops inside over there, right? So it's built in such a manner to begin with. It's being built as a gym, multi-purpose room. When it's used as a shul, it'll be built as a shul as well. That's the sort of the way to get through this. But if Megillah Verbringen is also something of kedusha, of holiness, etc. So you're not allowed to eat or drink in a shul. That's why many shuls have a kiddush room, which is next to the shul. We do find in Mesechta Psachim that there were times that they would eat in a shul. So, meaning the leeway was there even back in those times. Now, we're talking about a full meal or just a snack. If someone wants to finish their coffee, could they finish it in the shul? So it's a machlekes haposkim. It's a discussion of the poskim if you're allowed to eat or drink inside of a shul.
On his first coffee, it's very practical. Especially for me, because I typically put coffee to become cold, later on after the davening. Then I drink it many times in the shul. I
mean, there's leeway for if you're doing the coffee because it's going to give you kavanah for davening. So it's l'tzarech mitzvah, the need of a mitzvah. If you're doing l'tzarech mitzvah, then there's a terim, it'll be allowed. Or if, let's say, there's a security guard who has to be in the shul, so if he sleeps in the shul, it's also fine because he's doing it for the security of the shul. But the security guard should not be sitting and watching the news inside of the shul because that's disrespectful. But a suda of a mitzvah, for example, a bris could be in the shul, or a sheva brachas. All these things are sudas mitzvah, or siyum, right? That all these things could be done in the shul, even if it's a shul that was made without any type of condition. We're going to give another example of something you should not do in a shul. Next page. V'ein noyasin behen. You're not allowed to enter the shul. We're turning the page. If you have an R scroll to 28b1, you cannot get yourself dressed up in the shul. So you can't put on your tie in the shul and look in the mirror if it happens to be a mirror on the side. But I mean, if you want to make sure your tie is straight, that's fine. But you don't get dressed up in the shul. You don't adjust your makeup in the shul. V'ein metaylen behen. And you don't go for a walk in the shul. And the case of MIshna explains that many people during davening, they walk back and forth during davening. He says this is included in the prohibition. You shouldn't be walking back and forth during davening.
Oh.
It says, Ein Thailand.
Oh, I see. But at the same time, you had and it's Rabbi Kiva said actually should have burned it Rebbe. Well, I know the case of the Berditcher Rebbe was that he wasn't paying attention to anything. He didn't even realize if he was one of the shul or the other.
In that case, you're allowed to walk around in the shul. One of the sons of Tzemach Tzedek, I think it was Marin, Rabbi Yisrael Noach. During the year after Tzemach Tzedek passed away, so Tzemach Tzedek had 7 sons, and I don't know if all of them were in Lubavitch, but many of them were in Lubavitch during the year. And one of the sons is Marin, Rabbi Yisrael Noach, who later on lived in Nezhin, became a Rebbe of his own in Nezhin, and when he would daven, he would get totally engrossed in his davening, and people would not want to daven in his minyan. They said, your minyan is way too long. It will take hours and hours. He would lose all track of time and space. And he'd be totally lost at times, just like when he's learning. He would walk back and forth many times. When he would daven, he would start walking back and forth. And they told him, you have to pay attention. You have to keep moving. So he said, I will force myself to pay attention. What I'm going to do is the bima is a big, heavy wooden stender, bima he would daven on. I'm going to grab onto the bima, and that way I'll focus myself that I should daven faster. I shouldn't get lost during davening, and that's what he did. And he held onto the bima very strongly, but as you could expect, started davening, being misbeinin, a little bit of misbeininess during davening. And he completely got engrossed and lost in his davening. So holding on to the stender, heavy stender, he dragged it with him back and forth across the whole shul. Someone like that, yes, maybe it's not a problem of going for a walk during davening. But someone who's walking back and forth because I have no patience, to sit in one place, that's what it means, not to go for a walk.
And what's been the same thing with Rabbi Akiva, actually, where Rabbi Akiva was so gross, because he would let the big actually one part of shul that the other part.
We had it before or previously about doing kairim.
Oh.
All times he would bow down, right? He would start off on one side of the shul, and there were all the different times he would bow down during davening, the kairim that they would fall on their face, and he would end up in the other side of the shul. Ve'ein nichnasin behem mechama pnei chama v'gsham pnei gshamim. A shul is a place you go into just to daven. If it's a house of study as well, which the vast majority of shuls today, I think, are built also with that in mind, but not all shuls. You only go into a shul to daven or to learn, not to have a cell phone conversation in a private place, not to get yourself dressed in a place, and not to protect yourself from the sun and walk into the shul because it's air conditioned. That's why I'll be in the shul. Or into a shul, I'm going to go in there to protect myself from the rain. Or if it's cold, I'm going to go in there because it's warm. And this is a room of the shul. The shul has a lobby in the front. It's not a problem. I'm talking about the room of the shul itself, which not always did you have a room of a shul. Many times you enter straight into the shul. You're not allowed to do a eulogy for an individual, which is a private event. But a great calamity, you're allowed to do, or a Torah scholar who was not an individual, but rather he was someone who taught everyone else, you are allowed to have a eulogy for in the shul. Here's one thing you are allowed to do in a shul. You're allowed to learn Chumash, Shoinin learn MIshna. You're allowed to learn Torah in the shul. Hold on, wait a second. Why does the MIshna have to tell us that? You are allowed to learn in the Gemara. Why do you have to? You are allowed to learn in the shul. Why would you think you're not allowed to learn in the shul? That the MIshna at the Brisa here has to tell me that you could learn in the shul. What do you think? Why would you think that you're not allowed to learn in a shul? Well, a shul is a place, it's a base haknesses. It's a place to gather, to learn, to daven to Hashem. Before we learned earlier that there's two opinions, right? What's holier? Right? Two students of Rava who had two different teachings. Is a base haknesses holier or based on medrash holier? So if one is because it's a house of Torah study, a house of learning, which is given directly by Hashem, Other one is a Beisad Medrash, a place where you try getting closer to Hashem. And we went back and forth previously in the Gemara. So you would think to yourself that in a place where, according to the opinion, when it's a place of davening, you would not be allowed to learn Torah over there. So it comes to teach you that you are allowed to learn Torah even in such a shul, like Rabbi Yochanan we had before. And why are you allowed to learn in a shul, even according to Rabbi Yochanan, who says that a Beis HaKnesses, a shul, is holier than a Beis HaMedrash and house of study? Because all these uses we're talking about, you're not doing a holy thing. You're not doing kedusha. You're using for something mundane. That is disrespecting the shul. But something which is not mundane, which is you're learning Torah of Hashem, so true, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not as special as davening, but you're not taking away, you're not watering down at all the kedusha, the holiness that you have in the shul. You're learning in there. The only thing will be forbidden, according to him, is to totally take away the shul and make it into a Beis Medrash, a house of study. But generally, you will be allowed to learn in a shul as well. Just finish this line, and we'll go another few minutes.
Now, shul with a finished basement, can you use the basement like for putting on children's plays and things like that?
Right. It's not the place where you daven. It's just an extra room in the building that's owned by the shul, right? So yeah, that's totally fine. We're going to, tomorrow we'll see that all, like you were speaking about previously, the shuls outside of Eretz Yisrael are made to begin with in such a way that you could, even in the shul room itself, there's multiple uses would be allowed. And if you have a public eulogy for a Torah scholar which passes away, it's not just a tragedy for one individual, but it's a tragedy for the entire city. And even if it's not, and we're going to see soon a story of the daughter-in-law of, I think it was Rab Kahana, Rav Chisda, his daughter-in-law. Many times, even if the person was not such a famous individual, wasn't a great Torah scholar, but a great Torah scholar will be the one eulogizing them, many people will come. It will be a rabbim. It will be a very big crowd which comes to that funeral, to that levaya. So any funeral which has a very large crowd coming, so then it's part of the rabbim. It's the needs of the public as well. And that you would be allowed to use a shul for. Right. We will pause the Gemara over here. And this topic of a shul is very interesting. There's a lot of halacha involved. Continue with a couple minutes with Veyadaata Moskva. So if you have two English ones right now, it should be a fourth one somewhere. I'm going to be using this one.
Moskva.
Okay. Put this up on the screen now. Let's see. Did everyone over there on the Zoom see both of the English and the Hebrew? I'm not sure.
What's it say? Knowledge? Veyadaata?
Veyadaata, knowledge. So this is a Maamar from the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Rebbe. She said in the year 1897 in Moscow. It's a very fundamental Maamar about how Avayu Elokim, everything which exists in the world, the world is Elokim. It's the gematria of the word Hateva, nature. Everything we see in nature is actually Havaya. It is the Hashem, who is the infinite Hashem. And if you want to know the whole Maamar, just in that one sentence, right? So that's essentially the entire Maamar. we're just going to bring it out in many different, with much more detail, much more halacha. And we're going to give two big mishalim, examples of a Rav and a Talmud, a teacher and a student, which the student in the beginning just hears a fact. Later on, you grow to appreciate more and more what the teacher actually meant and taught. And same thing, when we see the world, you see everything out there going on. If you look at the news, side note, not suggested, but then you might see, all you see is Elikim, you see the nature of the world. But you should know, if you just learn Chassidus, you get to learn the mashal, you get to learn what the teacher is thinking, and you realize everything is Havaya. Everything is Haya Hoiva V'yeh Ke'echad. The essence and the essential and the oneness, infinite of Hashem. So if you have the English over here, let's go to page 75, 76, 77. I'm going to be turning pages quickly over here, so I'll try keeping track if you have the Sefer. We started off with the verse, the pasuk that we say at the end of Aleinu, right? Veyadaata yoyim MIshna today, from Parshas Re'eh, I think. You should take it to heart. Ki Hashem hu Elikim. God is God. Hashem is the name of Havai Yud Vavke, and it is Elokim. Elokim is the name of Hashem, which God created the world. Bereshis bara Elokim. Elokim created the world. Elokim is concealment. Hashem created everything to conceal. You have now the verses before that, we looked it up previously, are speaking about Hashem is telling the Jewish people, take to heart, you realize how I have taken you out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, and I'm going to take you into the Eretz Yisrael, and take it to heart, you should know today that Hashem hu Elikim, God is God. Then it says, Veyadaata. Tzarich l'haven shaychus inyan tiyas Mitzrayim aknisas aretz v'yadaita. What is the connection that I took you out of Egypt, I will bring you into the Holy Land of Israel, and you should know today that I am God, your God. Why does one bring you to the next? Vidu mashakasuv al zeh b'Zayar, the vayev elikim kulachat. The Zohar says, when it says Hashem Elokeinu, God our God, it means to tell you Hashem and Elokim are one. Ki Hashem hu Elokim, the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is the name of Elokim. Now the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, we've gone through this in Derech Mesechta, I've gone through this in several Maamarim, that Yud Kei Vav Kei, is Yud is Chachma, the essence of Hashem. Hey is how it's expanded. Vav comes down. Hey, it's expanded more. Elokim is known just to be covering over. Hateva, the nature, is the same numerical value as Elikim. Why does Hashem conceals himself? Why? Sort of in your, if you want to charge your cell phone and you charge it into the power station that's coming straight out of Niagara Falls power substation, it will probably fry the entire phone, right? It's too powerful. Even from the local power station, the current is too powerful for something small. If you try hooking up your house straight to the power grid, probably the whole entire house would go up in flames. If you want to enjoy it, you have to limit it. That's why you have circuits, and that's why you have resistors, and that all limits how much energy is coming, and that's making you able to enjoy, to consume all the energy that's coming out. And in the same type of way, Hashem's energy, which is creating the world, is too great, Yud Kei Vav Kei, for there to be any type of conceivable world. And we had to conceal it, we had to limit it, and that's the name of Elikim, which is nature. Hashem made something called nature, which is essentially miracles, but happens so often, over and over and over, that people forget that it's a miracle. V'chayra ein ze muvan. Eichem kul echad. How can Havaya and Elokim be completely one? They're two different energies, right? If I tell you, you should know that your plug outlet, which is in your living room, is the same as the energy of the sun coming, the electricity, this flare is coming straight out of the sun. They're two different things altogether. So how are we saying that they are exactly the same? One is to reveal godliness, one is to conceal godliness. The polar opposites. One reveals Hashem's infinite power, and Elokim conceals it. The word teva, what does teva mean? We have it in, teva means nature, but the word teva, there's a drug company called Teva. It means to say it's all natural. Right? And if your title says you're all natural, then you don't have to look anymore at the ingredients. Teva, nature, comes from the word tubu, teveya. You have it in Az Yashar. The Egyptians tubu b'yamsuf. In the sea they drowned. Right? The word teva, nature, means drowning, concealing. Meaning Hashem is completely here in the world, but he's just submerged in nature. He's inconspicuous. And if you're in, in a boat on the water, it might be 20 feet under you, a shipwreck with a buried treasure, and you'll be completely oblivious to it, just because it's submerged under the water. So Hashem's infinite power, the Havaya, the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, is hidden by the Elokim. So, if you do the Havaya who makar hagiloi. Havaya is the source of revelation. V'hu bechinas midas harachamim. This is idea of kindness of Hashem. As the Medrash and the Zoyar explain. So the Hainu. The revelation from Hashem has no limitations. Okay, this is hard to compete with the outside noise, so we'll Rebbe Hashem tomorrow, same station, for your sound information. Over here, we'll continue over here. Tomorrow, same time, same place.
Okay.
And we'll continue with the Maamar Veyadaata. I should have another fourth copy of this, Rebbe Hashem, to bring tomorrow.